So you want to launch a website. Congratulations. But you're stuck on the very first decision. Which website hosting provider do you even start with? Hi, I'm James and I'm here to help. I'm going to help you decide which is the best hosting provider for you. Specifically, I'm going to focus on Bluehost and Siteground. What I'm going to do in this video is actually do a live walkthrough of the account setup process for both. It'll give you a real look into the user experience of using both of these sites. First off, why are these the two contenders? Well, they're two of the biggest names and they're really two of the best reviewed. They both have really comparable, very robust feature sets, and they're both recommended by WordPress. WordPress is pretty much the standard for website building platforms. It has a huge ecosystem, lots of add-ons, and it makes building a website really easy. Now, if you're like me, you've gone through all the reviews in a lot of sites. They stack them up on every possible metric you could think. To be honest, there's a lot of technical data, and some of the stuff won't even matter to me. And going through it all, I can conclude that both are good choices, but to be honest, the data is a little bit overwhelming. So even with all these reviews and recommendations, you're still left with the question, which one is better for you? For me personally, I'm always looking for simplicity and the basics. I've seen all the review sites, I've compared all the technical features, but my needs are pretty simple. I want to launch basic blogs and websites with the ability to grow with me. Look, feel, and ease of use are really important to me. I just want to get up and running. Before we go too farther, let's talk about how they're similar, at least on paper, in case you haven't seen the review sites. They all offer 24/7 support, or claim to. They have comparable speeds and uptimes. The basic pricing is pretty similar. I mean, we're off by maybe $1 or so here and there, but they're pretty close. And of course, they're both officially recommended by WordPress. So how are they different? Well, Bluehost does offer free domain name registration for one domain. It's not a huge price, but it is something. There's also some additional pricing differences for some of the various add-on bells and whistles you can add. And if you're really technical, there's definitely differences in the details of the features, like the speed and the security. For a lot of people, though, it won't really matter. Because again, this video is really focused on the user experience. How is the user experience different? Which setup process is easier, simpler, and more intuitive? Which account management and just general interface is more compatible with you? That's what we're really going to try to get out of this video. So here we are at Bluehost. This is bluehost.com. This is the first thing you'll see when you get to their site. Right off the bat, you'll notice that it's a pretty simple design. They highlight their core web hosting product prominently and some of its features. We'll go through them real quick. Free domain name registration. I'm not sure if that's standard or not. We'll see when we get to the other sites, but it's certainly a feature they highlight. Some of these other features I do think are standard. Free SSL certificate included, 24/7 support. That's pretty standard. They do highlight one-click WordPress install. As you know, I'm going to be going with WordPress as my platform to build my website. It's pretty standard. It's pretty much the best out there. But this one-click WordPress install isn't the same as WordPress hosting, and we'll get to that a little later. But they kind of highlight two products. You can host a website, or you can have kind of an integrated WordPress website hosted, and that's what we're going to be going with. But anyway, they make it pretty easy to get started. You just push this button. Before that, I'm going to scroll down and see what else is on this site. Again, some of the other features are mentioned. You can click on that if you want to kind of delve into that a little more. I'm not going to do that right now. They do some upsells for some pro products. You'll find that a lot of these sites will have really high-end products and offerings. For my purposes, I don't really need it, and I think a lot of people won't as well. Those are for sites that are really trying to scale and really have some big features. If you're really just trying to build a simple website and a simple blog, you probably won't need a lot of those. So anyway, again, they have two features here. They have the hosting and the WordPress hosting. I'll click on the hosting real quick. This is kind of the base product. You can integrate WordPress or install WordPress to build these sites uh, with ease, but it's a little different than actually having it what they call WordPress hosting, which is hosting a site that's really built from the ground up to enable WordPress, and it's fully integrated, fully updated, and optimized for that. And so if you know you're going to be building a site with WordPress, you're better off going with the WordPress hosted option. But this is the core option. They give you four choices. Again, we're not looking at the Pro. And then the basic gives you one website and so much storage. And then they give you the plus and the choice plus, and they make it easy for you to really lean towards these two options right here. From my point of view, I'm just going to go with the choice plus in this case. Because I mean it's only 50 cents more, and they offer some additional features, but really there's not that much difference. But again, I'm going to go with the WordPress hosting. Again, they highlighted how it's a little different, where the WordPress is automatically installed, and if you do a little research, you'll see that when a site is hosted from the ground up to be kind of WordPress optimized, it just saves you some steps, basically. So it's something that if you already know you're going with WordPress, it's probably something you're going to want to look for when you're choosing your hosting platform. Again, the choices here are basically the same price. I'm going to again go with the Choice Plus. It gives you unlimited websites, unlimited or unmetered storage, free domain for the year, and a bunch of other features. So it's really the more scalable option. I just don't see much reason to go with the basic if you even have any hopes of growing at all, or maybe even trying to kind of build other websites. It just gives you that option. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the Choice Plus. I'll select. Right off the bat, they send you to a sign up screen where you can pick your domain. You get a free domain with the service. I'm going to pick Grow That Website. That's the name of this YouTube channel, and it's the name of the site that I'm going to launch. I already know, I've already checked. I know it's not taken. Hit next. You might have to go through a couple times, just if choosing a website or a domain name is sometimes hard, right? A lot of them are already taken. Uh, but once you have one, they'll highlight it. They'll let you go ahead and move forward. And then you get to the sign up screen. This stuff's pretty basic, address, etc. And then you can pick your package. I'm going to go with the 12 month. There's a 12, 24, 36 month. You get some discounts if you sign longer deals. I'm going to go with the 12 month. Just they also upsell you with some extras. Uh, some of it it's free. So some of this you can kind of sign in and out of. I'm going to probably opt out of some of these just because I don't know. Again, for my purposes, I don't need some of this stuff yet. I'm pretty sure you can add them in later. I do know this site security. It's something that is probably worth the money, just having that extra site lock security. And then they right off the bat they give you a chance to pay, give your credit card number, and then sign up. I'm going to do that all offline, and then I'll jump to the next screen in the video when I'm done with that. So I completed the process after I filled in all my information, my credit card information. They approved it. And then they asked me to pick a password. I did that, and right off the bat, they send me to this site or this page right here, and I can already pick a theme. And so, obviously, this is going to be up to you to decide. I don't want to waste your time for me to, I might put some more thought into it later on, but for now, I assume I can change it later. I'm just going to pick one that jumps out at me. And I know for me, I'm going to have mostly an article blog. And so you kind of want to a format or a theme that kind of accommodate that. This one seems okay. I'm going to use this one. So we'll see. They're setting it up. The one thing I'll say is that I liked about the process so far is that it's pretty clean and right from the start, the opening landing page, the aesthetics just happen to be my aesthetic. Very clean, simple designs, and the process so far has been kind of like going with that. And so a lot of times you can like kind of glean a lot of how a website's going to work by just watching the aesthetics, and then it'll give you a sense for kind of what the user experience will be like and kind of what the user interface will be like. So let's see what it says here. For your information, we're provisioning your WordPress installation on a temporary domain. We'll update your site to grow that website automatically as soon as it's ready. So it looks like I'm set. So um, let's see, I can start building, or I can go to my Bluehost account. I just went to my Bluehost account. This is kind of the main hub. The account summary, it gives you all the account information you need and kind of lays everything out pretty simply. Again, it's keeping with what we've seen from the site so far, which is everything's pretty simple. Everything's really clean and intuitive. I like the user interface personally. We'll see if the other sites are as uh, uh, intuitive as this one. You can kind of lay out, we'll scroll through. Here's my sites. I only have one right now. You can see that's the theme I picked. There's a link to the marketplace. I mean, that's one of the reasons you go with WordPress is because they have this whole ecosystem of apps and add-ons that you can really kind of build up your site with. And it's a lot of them is just plug and play. And so depending on what kind of site you want, you can build it however you want. Email and Office, if you want to set up your email, you have those options right here. And if you want additional domains, you can manage them right here. You can add some additionally to this to your Bluehost account. Again, it's unlimited websites, unlimited uh, subdomains. So you can really kind of add to that, and you're already paying for it. So if you have other ideas, or you have that option. So that's pretty simple. We're going to go on to the next one, and at the end we'll have a summary. But this is kind of what it looks like. The process is pretty easy. It took me or it would take, only a couple of minutes, depending on, if you want how much you want to delve into all the other options. But it can be as simple as 5-10 minutes. Didn't take me much longer than that. So now we're at Siteground. This is what their landing page looks like. Again, pretty easy, clean interface. They make all their products laid out pretty simply, uh, listing their features, very similar to Bluehost. Um, they make it a little easier in terms of, if you remember, Bluehost just highlighted their web hosting product. Here, they highlight a little more prominently their managed WordPress hosting product. Again, that's the thing we're interested in, just as a way to kind of skip some steps and make our my site a little more optimized for WordPress. Again, I'll click on web hosting just to see if there's a difference in price and just to kind of get a feel for the interface. Again, they prominently display. It's very similar to Bluehost. Um, the options, pricing is very similar. We're again going to ignore the super high-end one and go with the recommended one, which is unlimited websites, 20 gigs web space. I think that's a little less than Bluehost give, um, but and then they again highlight some of their features, all the security. A lot of this stuff is pretty standard: domain management, ultra fast sites. Um, uh, Nowadays, a lot of that's standard, and we saw that with Bluehost as well. We're going to go back to the main site and again choose the WordPress hosting. Actually, we'll scroll down and see if there's most of this is just kind of elaborating and giving information for people who maybe are stumbling upon this site for the first time and haven't really looked at any others. It'll kind of like they're going to try to sell you and tell you all the features. You can read that at your own leisure. I already know I'm going to go with this and kind of see how it go or see how the process goes. So that's kind of the purpose of this. Let's click on WordPress hosting. Again, same price. Again, the difference being that these sites are supposedly optimized for WordPress, more plug and play, um, and so this presumably will make things a lot easier, and that's a selling point, at least for me. Some of these features are stuff we already know, and this is uh, one of the reasons you can kind of like read into it as much as you want, but this is one of the reasons why I'm leaning towards these WordPress hosting kind of products as opposed to just the standard web hosting stuff. And that's partly because I'm not an experienced web designer. I want WordPress. I want things easier. I want that ease and that simplicity. Um, and so that's one of the things I'm looking for and why I ended up uh, choosing between these sites in the first place. All right, so let's get plan and see what happens. So after you choose your plan, it sends you to, again, like Bluehost, it sends you right away to pick your domain. I happen to have a domain I already know. Grow That Website was already taken by me. Um, I'm going to do Flash Betters. It's a betting website I am considering. I already know that's not taken. The one thing we'll notice right away is that domain registration is $15.95. If you remember Bluehost, they gave one free domain with all their plans. So I had that free. Here it's an extra $15.95 a year. Not a big deal, but it is an extra cost. Um, so let's register this. Let's proceed. Now, after we proceed, we're sent to this, again, payment information, basically. Very similar. My site was available. I knew that. I'm going to enter all my info, password, etc. Again, they give me some options here. I'm going to go with 12 month, just like I did with the others, with Bluehost. There's some additional upsells here. Um, Domain privacy. Again, I'm going to skip this stuff. I'm going to assume that I can add this later. And then once I'm done with this, I'll jump to the next screen and we'll catch up from there. So now I entered all my information and I got the OK. My account was successfully created. I can now log into the customer area and start managing my website right away. So let's do that and see what this interface looks like. So right off the bat, they give me some choices here. I can set up your website. I can transfer a website. Well, I need to start a new website, so I'm going to do that. I am going to choose WordPress. So when I choose WordPress as software I want to install to start up my new website, it gives me a prompt to choose my WordPress login details. Again, if you remember with Bluehost, it was a little easier. I mean, this is just one extra step. It's not a big deal, but Bluehost did make it easier where I was pretty much up and running, picking a theme and had a site up and running um, pretty smoothly. So I'm going to do this extra step and then let's actually see what else they have down here. Some additional upsells for some securities and some scanners, which we'll skip for now. You may want to do that. You can do that if you want. I'm going to log into WordPress and then we'll continue from there. It took some time to process and now it says my hosting account is ready to use. So I'm going to proceed to the customer area. So when I click on my accounts, it sends me to this page right here, which lays out the current site I have set up right now, the domain. I can click on some of these other things. It's probably pretty straightforward, support and billing. Let's see what this perks says. This perks tab looks like it's just a bunch of partnerships that Siteground has with some coupons. Let's go back to my accounts and and figure out what other options there are. I mean, I can tell you right off the bat, it's a little less intuitive, at least to me, than Bluehost. Bluehost was a lot simpler. They had big blocks. They had my site set up right away. Here, it looks like there's going to be some additional steps I need to even get to the site and figure out how to start actually building the site. Maybe if I go to this admin panel, I'll have to log in with my info. But again, these are extra steps. I mean, that's something I'll factor in and something maybe for you, you'll want to factor in yourself. So after I log into WordPress from that SiteGround prompt with the logins that I had set up earlier on SiteGround, it gives me a welcome to WordPress site. So I'm going to start now and see what I'm trying to do. Again, so now here we are at the themes. Uh, Again, if you remember with Bluehost, it was prompted a little earlier than this with a little few extra steps. Um, I'm just going to again pick the one that seems to make the most sense for me, which is basically just kind of an article or content blog. Um, let's just go with this one. And so it's going to work. And I guess they give you a preview. I'll just select it. I'll confirm it's free. And then some additional functionality. There's some free plugins. There's a contact form. Maybe I'll just include that because it's free. I won't need shopping, I don't think, calendar. So I'm going to skip these even though they're free. Continue. I'm going to skip this stuff again. This is stuff that I'm obviously going to add later: Google Analytics, SEO, subscriber list. But it is nice, I will say, that they kind of prompt you so you can kind of add it along the way, as opposed to maybe with Bluehost where they kind of skipped all these steps, and maybe I would forget about this or possibly not even know about this. So this does help. Again, this is stuff you can research and maybe figure out which of this stuff you want, but it's generally good for a blog. So let's complete and see how long it takes. I remember with the Bluehost site, it took a while to install a theme and just kind of get it up and running. So maybe this will be similar here. It looks like it's going a little fast. Um, okay, so congrats, your site is ready. Let's view the site. Let's start with that. See, there's my URL, Flash Betters, and then my WordPress blog. So it's already populated with articles, so I'm gonna have to get rid of that. It's almost like too much. So what did I learn? Well, both were easy. I was up and running in minutes, and they both had a good intuitive flow to the process. They both highlighted their features along the way and guided me through the process, and both had all the features that they advertised. But my personal view was that while both made the process smooth and easy, and they both seem like great providers, for me personally, the setup process and the interface with Bluehost was just a little bit of a better fit for me. Now, I'm going to continue to run both of these sites with each provider, and I'm going to update you with another video or on my website in the future, because while the setup process I preferred with Bluehost, we'll see how it goes with the actual running of these sites. So what did you think? Comment below with your thoughts on my video or your real-world experiences with these two sites. If this video was helpful to you, use the links below to go to these sites and get more information or to sign up with your choice. Also, visit my website, the one you just saw me set up, growthatwebsite.com, and I'm going to try to populate that with more and more information as I can continue with all these providers.